Welcome to Kids Academy.
Hi, thanks for joining me. So in our last video, we discussed the word check, and we learned that check means the king is in danger. And we saw a few examples of ways we can check the king, of ways we can attack the king, and today we'll get some more practice doing that. Let's go ahead and turn to the board. In this position, it is white's turn, and I want you to think about what move that white can play to put the black king in check. Now, I must warn you, not all checks are good. Just because we see a check doesn't mean we always want to play it in our games, but I'm just helping you begin to see the board and begin to look at all of white's possible moves and figure out which one is check. So go ahead and play. What should white play in this position to check the black king? Well, if I'm looking at the white side, I see this knight is already developed, so I'm looking at ways to bring this knight in to attack the king for a check. We can go to e5, we can go to g5, but none of them will allow us to aim at the black king, which is situated up here on e8. The knight is just too far away, even though he's already been played. We can't attack the king with the knight. This queen can come out one step, but then the knight blocks her. The queen's unable to give a check. So now I'm looking at this bishop. Not only is the bishop unlocked, but I see that this bishop is on a light square. The black king is on a light square. I would know right away that a dark square bishop, for example, can never check a king on a light square. It's on the wrong color. But this bishop can play to b5. Bishop b5, check. The king is in danger. And you can see that this king right here is now in check. He's under attack. Okay. In this position, it is white to play as well. What move or moves can white play to check the black king? If you found one, that's great. Keep looking. There are actually 3 different moves white can play to check the black king. So if you said rook e1, pat yourselves on the back, very nice. Rook e1 is a check, it would aim right at the king. We could also play queen e2, same idea. The queen can use its rook capabilities to check the king, or also queen e1 will check the king. So all 3 of these moves would be a check. Bonus question, why would bishop b5 in this example not be a check? What is stopping this bishop from aiming at the king? In the last example, bishop b5 was check. Well, if you said the knight is in the way, you're absolutely correct. This knight would be blocking the bishop from reaching the king, while the knight would be under attack. The king would not. And we only say check when the king is under attack. This bishop is threatening the knight, but we're not checking the knight. And we're certainly not checking the king because the knight is blocking our bishop's path. Okay, in this game, white to play, looking for ways to check the black king. Go ahead and take a moment, try to find 2 moves that white can play to put the black king in check. The move that jumps out at me is knight c7, and as you get more experience, you will find this knight going to c7 and attacking the king and the rook at the same time. Happens very frequently in chess. Knight c7 is definitely a check because step, step, turn, we see that the knight would be threatening the king. So we can go knight c7 check. And the second move, not as good, but it's always important to consider every forcing move, every check you can play. White's option was knight d6. And I say this move isn't as good because now the knight could get captured 2 ways, but it's important to realize that it is also a check as well. Okay, white to play. Find as many checks as you can. Here there's only one check that I see, and it's bishop takes f7 check. By going to f7, we are now aiming diagonally at the black king, and you better believe that black king is in danger. Okay, remember, everything except for the king can give check. And I want you to evaluate pawn e5 for white and pawn f5. One of those pawn moves is a check. Can you figure out which one? Pawn e5 looks nice because it's getting very close to the black king, but remember, pawns attack diagonally forward one square, so this pawn is actually attacking d6 and f6 and not the square the king is on. For it to be check, white would need to play pawn f5, which would be checking the king. This pawn is aiming diagonally at the e6 square. That king is in check. In this position, it's a bit of a quiz. One of these kings is in check, and it's your job to figure out which king is in danger and which piece is aiming at that king. So go ahead and take a moment. Well, we've seen this idea before, this bishop on f1 going to b5. This is a check. This bishop is now aiming diagonally at the king. So we would say the black king is in check, and it's the white bishop on b5 that is giving the check. Okay, who is in check in this position? And remember, we only use the word check when it involves a threat, an attack against the king. So even though this white queen is aiming at the black queen, and the black queen is aiming at the white queen, we wouldn't say those queens are in check. Which king is in check? Which king is in danger? Well, the answer is the white king on e1, and we know that not because the queen is aiming at the king, that's not how queens move, but this bishop is now returning the favor, playing bishop f8 to b4, check, the king is in danger. So always be on the lookout for checks, and remember, every piece in chess can deliver check with the exception of the king. Kings can never touch, mind you, but always be on the lookout for check, because it'll help keep your king safe, and it will open up some possibilities in your own games. Checks can be very powerful weapons to use to win material or even get to checkmate, which is how we win in chess, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.